Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the Cranbourne East Secondary Podcast. Per usual, you have myself, Mr. L. We also have our other usual,
Mr. Young.
and we have our special guest today.
Hey, I'm Matthew Donnelly, mostly in the Year 12 area. And yeah, I teach legal studies, accounting, and some VCal. So you probably see me floating around yellow.
So the junior kids don't have the pleasure of knowing Mr. Donnelly yet, do they?
Pleasure.
That being said, there's
Yes.
some times where you make some guest appearances in the Year 9 office.
Yeah, you will see me float around the Year 9s. I like to be acquainted with some of the members of the Year 9 staff room. They'll know who they are.
Yeah, because I remember
Just some redecoration.
moving things around. Because I remember the first year I met you, Mr. Donnelly, like you were teaching junior at the time. I think it was like Year 9
Yeah,
or
it was
something.
9H.
We
That's
shared the
sports
same
pathway.
class. Yeah, we
sports
shared-
pathway.
Wait, 9H?
Yeah.
I now teach 9H for science.
Well, the 9H back then was very different to the current 9H.
That's true.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
the current one is the STEM class, I believe, is it?
Oh, no,
Or
the
majority?
enrichment maths.
Enrichment
I
maths,
believe.
right?
That used to be 9A when I taught
B.
Year 9. Was
B.
it 9B? Oh, no, 9A was English Leaf. That's
Yes,
right. Yeah.
that is correct. So that's all you current Year 12s. We're talking about you right now. That's when you guys were Year 9. Yeah.
There's a few kids that do bring back memories. For example, Tristan.
Mr. Walton, always. You
Oh,
know.
yeah. Aki as well. He was
Yeah.
in that 9H crew.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're still around the school, which is good. You know, seeing them do their final exams makes me feel so old. So,
I know, the greys are showing quite pronounced at this point.
Yeah. So, Mr. Donnelly, we thought that would bring you on today because, you know, every guest that we do bring on, we usually have like a special topic that we want to talk about that's unique to them. Now, a lot of kids may not know this, especially the juniors, but you're a streamer, aren't you?
Yeah. So started on Twitch last lockdown. So actually no, before last lockdown, I started mid-July.
So, like lockdown number 4?
Yeah. So we
potentially?
were back
Okay.
for about 2 weeks in term 3.
Yep.
And then we were straight into lockdown until now, pretty much. I
Yep.
think today's the first day everyone's on campus.
Yep.
And yeah, so I've been doing Twitch streaming on there for about 3 to 4 months, and it's been really fun. It's really tied in well, so making resources as well. So the same platform I use to stream Pokemon games, so I primarily stream Pokemon games, by the way, and I'll talk a little bit more about that after. But I also make my class resources for accounting, for legal studies, using that same software.
That's interesting. And so, you know, when you start off as a streamer, there's so many options.
Yeah.
You know, YouTube, Facebook, they have their own streaming as well. Now they're moving into that streaming space. And I guess Twitch has been like an OG. They've been around for quite a while. So, like, is that the reason why you chose Twitch? Or have you tried doing multiple platforms? Or, yeah, what's the decision behind that?
So when I initially started, I actually was like, I'll do Twitch and YouTube.
Yep.
And so I have a Twitch channel. So the Twitch channel, I do all my gaming on. I save the recording, so you just, on the overlay software, you've got a record button. Click on that, and it saves the file, and then I can just edit it down. So, and then I was doing like a shortened version of those for YouTube.
Like shorts.
Yeah,
Yes, they're
shorts.
so
So,
popular. Yep.
like for a 3-hour stream,
Yeah.
I do like a 20, 30-minute video.
Yep.
I think I always see like streamers going and saying, "Oh, clip it," and then it's just like this like really good play that they've made, and it's just
Yeah.
that one
Yeah.
short video.
Yeah, it's like a 20, 30-second thing. Yeah, that's happened on my stream a few times. Mostly not me doing something good, of me doing the exact opposite, or me saying something very silly,
Yeah.
or taking it out of context.
Yeah.
Playing Among Us, for example, and like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't handle pressure well. And they clip that.
Yeah.
They didn't clip the bit where I got the decision right.
Yeah.
Why would you clip the good bit? They clipped the bit where I got it wrong. Oh, sorry, the bit where I made the bad calls.
Yeah. Because one of the things that we can do afterwards is your Twitch channel, or you know, we can always add it in the description down below.
Yeah.
And you know, you've talked about Pokemon, and I know Mr. Young has had a history with Pokemon as well. So have I. I still remember my very first conversation with you, Mr. Donnelly. I don't know if you remember my very first conversation with you when I first met.
I feel like it might have to do with Pokemon Go.
It did. Well, not Pokemon Go specifically, but this was when the Wellbeing portables had just been open
Okay.
that year.
Yeah.
That was the year you moved in. And so I remember some staff members coming to my office. They're like, "Hey, have you heard there's this new staff member here? And I think you'll be great friends with him, Mr. L. He's a Pokemon person." I'm like, "Sure." So I went up there and I met you. And one of the key things I remember you telling me, you were like, "You know what? if I wasn't going to be a teacher, what were you going to be? You were going to go to Sydney and you were going to do something to do with Pokemon. Now,
I was
do you remember?
playing Pokemon cards, that's right. Yeah,
Yes.
so fun fact, so before I came to Cranbourne East,
Yep.
I used to travel around Australia and play Pokemon cards. So I've traveled all around Australia except WA because shockingly flights are really expensive to WA. Shocking.
Yep.
And I would travel around and play Tasmania, Queensland, New South Wales, Northern Territory, South Australia. So they've all had tournaments. Haven't got to a Canberra tournament, which was a bit disappointing. And we'd play there and just play my deck, play 8-9 rounds. You'd have your top cut, come back the next day. My best finish was a Tasmania tournament where I ran second.
Ooh.
So that was quite cool. Regionals, and highest I was ranked in Oceania was 16th overall.
What?
Which, yeah, that's not for the end of the year. That was for
Yeah.
the end of a quarter, sadly.
Okay,
And then I
still.
came here, and because I wasn't playing with the same group, I couldn't practice as much, and I was putting more time into teaching. But for that time, when I was living in Bendigo, playing those games, traveling, it was really fun, and I really enjoy that. But I don't play as much anymore. But I like playing the cards. You learn so much about how to think on your feet, how to adapt, and it's one of the great things about card playing. And it's the same in Magic, where you would see the opponent's strategy, and you go, okay, how can I counter this with my own deck? Do I have the tools? Because and this is, I'm going to talk about this a bit more in streaming, there is always an out. There is always an avenue to get a victory.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Like that one time I came over and we played Magic the Magic the Gathering, and then I accidentally, I played a specific move, and then by consequence, I had no idea what would happen. I accidentally eliminated 2 players.
Accidentally.
So it was Commander. It was probably Commander.
Yes, it was. And I was one of those 2 players. I think it was just yourself and it was Mr. Chamberlain left?
It
Or
was
was it
Mr. Chamberlain,
you and Mr. Chamberlain left, right?
Yeah.
And I felt it was unfair because it was Mr. Chamberlain's deck. I'm like, surely Mr. Chamberlain knows how to counter his own deck. Come on,
Yeah.
Mr. Chamberlain. But yeah, I was one of the people that got knocked out and one of my good friends as well by accident by Mr. Young.
I actually forgot that function was there.
Yeah.
So I kind of just went, oh,
This happened. Yeah.
what a pleasant surprise.
And then, of course, at the end of the game, what did Mr. Young say? I want to recreate this deck.
Yeah.
Just found his niche.
That's
yeah.
how actually I started playing Pokemon. I found one deck I liked. I'm like, I really understand how this deck works. I know the core mechanic, and I just went with that. And I just found one thing and just practice getting good at this one thing.
Yep. Speaking of Pokemon cards, just quickly, I know our listeners sometimes they do, sometimes they don't want to listen to Pokemon cards. I've heard varying results. But McDonald's recently,
Yeah, I saw that.
I ended up buying enough Happy Meals to get every single one. So there is 25. There's 25 because there's 8 generations of starters. So 8 times 3, 24
plus Pikachu.
plus Pikachu. So 25. And the most valuable card out of all of them is the Holo Pikachu because there's 50 cards. So 25 of the same cards, non-holo. 25 of the same cards with holo. Every pack has 1 holo, 3 non-holos. In my 3rd pack, bam, Holo Pikachu. I'm like, yes, I'm sorted.
So on my most recent Macca's trip, which was actually yesterday,
Yep.
I haven't been in a long time. And so I was in drive-thru, see a massive car. There's a man in his 40s,
Yep.
and he gets past a Happy Meal. There's no passengers inside. And I'm like,
You love to see it.
you know how to live.
You
You're
love
living life.
You love to see it. I love that so
Well,
much.
unless he's doing delivery, but I mean, depends on what the toy is right now. Who knows?
No,
Yeah.
I think it has rotated out.
Oh yeah, I'm
pretty
sure it
it's
has.
rotated.
Yeah, in America, those cards are going for a lot.
Like that's one thing about Pokemon
Yeah.
cards I don't miss is how expensive it was.
Mm.
Because to build a deck, to build anything, if you need something specific, odds are you either have to open packs, which is expensive at $6 each, you're not guaranteed to get it, or you have to find the card specifically, and you're going to be paying a premium on top of that.
Of
Or
course.
sometimes you buy like booster packs, which is like 7 cards or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you put it in a
But
specific order to open it. And some
Yeah.
people stream that as well.
yeah, they do stream
Pack
that.
openings, yeah.
I haven't done that. Like, I feel like it's a slippery slope for me in cards because then I'll be like, oh, buy more cards,
Yeah.
and then I'm back where I started. I don't want to do that.
And you have a wedding coming up, so you better not.
Yeah, wedding, house.
Yes.
So
Don't want to risk that.
going to be hard
Yeah.
to justify that.
So speaking of expensive, like hobbies and setups, I mean, streaming surely you can talk us through your setup if you could, Mr. Donnelly, and surely that couldn't have been cheap as well, right?
So what happened was, it actually started probably back at Easter when I was watching my fiance play video. So my fiance plays video games as well. She watches a lot of streams. So that was like my first step into it. And I was watching her play and I'm like, I actually would rather do this with my spare time than what I was currently doing at the time. So normally I was playing cricket. I love cricket. Cricket's a big part of my life. I just wasn't enjoying as much as I used to. I started taking up soccer. So I was like moving into a different phase of my life.
Yep.
I'm thankful for cricket, for all the roles it's played, all the people I've met, but it was just different time to move on. And so I was watching her play and she's like asking, oh yeah, computer, because I was thinking about getting a MacBook.
Yep.
It was really interesting. And then I was like, actually, I can't game on the MacBook. Maybe I get a gaming laptop. And she's like, no, that's actually not worth it for what you want to do. And so we ended up going to Scorp Tech in, I forgot where it is. It's along Wellington Road, I believe.
Yep, okay.
Like
So-
near Clayton?
No, further towards Ferntree Gully Way.
Okay.
Yep.
So ended up going to Scorp Tech, found this computer I really wanted. It was a pre-built, admittedly. It had a 3070 graphics card. So we've got that in there. It's very basic specs, so it was pre-built. So the cable management is a bit broken. So there's a lot of cables. So I need to redo that eventually.
Yep.
Then picked up a nice functional webcam. That's 2 monitors, mouse, keyboard, mechanical keyboard, just to help with gaming on when I have to use the keyboard. And we go from there. And I thought, yeah, this is awesome. And then first stream, realized I got a problem.
Oh no.
I don't have a microphone.
So did your webcam have like an inbuilt crappy
Yeah,
microphone
I had
at
the
least?
crappy mic. Oh, not the great mic. And I was
Yeah,
like, okay,
yeah,
what do I do? So I ran the first stream. And one thing about streaming is, I want to preface this. If you want to start getting into streaming, please get in for the right reasons. I'd say if you're going to get in to get rich, it is hard. I'm going to tell you that now. I've been doing it for 4 months. I've got, I think, around 90 followers, 80, 90 followers.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of that. But there are people who's been doing it longer that have less followers, and there's people who've been doing it shorter, a less amount of time that have much more.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's honestly right place, right time.
Oh yeah, for sure, and I'll talk about that as well.
So
Stories, yeah.
for me, I've got to go, okay, what do I want to get out of this? For me, I want to get better at certain technology. So I want to learn to do Adobe, what's it called? InDesign. Not design. Adobe Photoshop. What am I saying?
Okay, Photoshop. Yeah.
Photoshop. I want to learn to do Photoshop. I also want to learn how to do video editing. And I forgot the program is just escaping me at the moment. So I want to learn those 2 skills. I'm like, all right, that's what I want to get out of this. And then additionally, I want to learn how to get better at something. So I want to get more confident talking. Now, I think I'm a very confident person. I'm happy to talk to anyone that moves.
Yep.
But at the same time, how can I get better? How can I be more entertaining?
Yep.
And so I was like, all right, I'm going to set those goals.
Yep.
If I make money out of it, great.
Yep.
If I don't, that's cool too. As long as one person finds my work entertaining, that's success.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's how I looked at it. And then from that, I went, okay, what games do I like playing? Now, the streamers I've watched, when they do gaming, they play games that they're good at, but are also relatable.
Okay.
So what's the game I'm good at? It's obviously Pokemon. And it's a video game. So what can I do that's unique? I can do competitive battling, which I'm not that interested in, and I'm not going to be that good at because it's a lot of high-level math calculations, and it's a lot of grinding and getting the right things. So that's not really on the table. So I do Nuzlocke challenges.
Oh boy. You must enjoy pain. You must enjoy pain because I cannot do Nuzlocke challenges.
Okay, so for like the people who don't know these
Okay,
things,
so Nuzlocks, you done Nuzlocke before?
Nope.
Okay, so Nuzlocke are a challenge mode of Pokemon. So there's 2 preset rules. The first one is you go on a route. So for example, route 1, you get an encounter, you catch that encounter. And the other rule is if a Pokemon dies, you can't use it anymore. It's dead,
You
goes in the
release it.
PC.
Wait. So like if you catch like 2 of the same Pokemon and one of them dies.
Oh no,
you
that's
still-
that's an optional. There's a
Okay.
bunch of optional rules.
Okay.
So I play with a harder rule set as well on top of that.
Yeah.
So I play species clause, so that stops me, for example, getting 6 Gyarados.
Yeah.
Because that'd be a little bit silly.
Yeah.
I also play with level caps. So,
can't go
for example, with Mr. L, his highest Pokemon's level 25 and he's the next gym leader. I can't go beyond level 25.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah.
And the third main optional rule I play with is set mode. So in Pokemon games, they'll go, Mr. L is about to use a Gyarados. Do you want to change Pokemon? That's switch mode. So
you can't.
that changes the momentum. So I could be winning, and then I get to counter the next Pokemon immediately. That's not very fair.
Yeah.
So what will instead happen is you play set mode, and you go, Mr. L's Pokemon has fainted. He sends in Gyarados. I now have to deal with that, knowing full well that that Pokemon in front of me counters what I currently have on my side of the field.
E.g. a fire type.
Yeah,
Versus Leaf.
if I've got a Grouse type, fire types on the other end, okay, now I need to predict what moves there, what do I do, and it adds that level of strategy and that back and forth, and it makes me think a lot more about what I need to do.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess one key thing is I wanted to touch on that part you were talking about luck before with streaming. You know, I've got a good friend of mine who started streaming as well.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because one of the mainstreams that I watch, and I talked to you about this quite a bit, Mr. Donnelly. I don't know what games you watch in terms of streamers, Mr. Young, but I've recently, over the last lockdown, have really gotten into watching GTA 5 role playing.
Oh, yeah.
Which is when
Yeah,
people
yeah,
have to make a character and then they have to stay in character as they do their everyday life as a GTA character. And the funny thing is, you know, there's so many streamers who've done it for many years and they have their, you know, thousands of followers and whatever, and it's enough for like a slight income to keep themselves afloat. But then one of my favorite YouTubers, who's from the Sidemen, those of you who always know, I always talk about the Sidemen, one of them started doing it. And because he started doing it, he already had a huge following from YouTube. And literally the first day that he jumped on the game, he naturally interacted with some people. And those people were probably, like I said, not a lot of followers. And they didn't know it was that famous YouTuber. But then they became friends. And then, of course, at the end of the stream, they realized, oh my goodness, I've just streamed with famous person so-and-so.
Yeah.
And in the last few months, their amount of people who've just been subbed to them has been like absolutely crazy, right? So I guess it's kind of like what you said, luck is also a huge factor, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like who you meet and who you interact with.
Yeah, and who decides, I'm going to look at this guy's channel, and they go, oh, I like this. Oh, and then they're on next time. They may raid your channel, and they take your viewers to your channel.
Yes, subtrains and stuff like that. But if, let's say there was a constraint. Let's imagine all three of us all had a streaming platform place on Twitch where we all streamed, but all three of us weren't allowed to do streaming of video games.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think it would be that you would stream? Because I've seen people who literally do travel streams. They just walk around their everyday lives, they vlog, and they stream people to chat. I guess that's a common one, you know. But what do you think you would have to choose, Mr. Yong?
Oh, mine's easy. You guys probably already know. It's just cooking.
Cooking?
Yeah.
Cooking or weights? You sure? Because I know there's some weightlifting ones.
Cooking, because with weights, you see a lot of the lifting face, which is not a good face.
Yeah, that's
It's just like
true.
a little bit like you're trying to like push something out, but you can't quite do it like whilst you're like lifting. No one needs to see that.
Yeah, okay. So cooking.
Yeah.
Maybe the chat will tell you certain things that you have to keep as a rule.
they
to
can
make it
suggest that
interesting.
in
Yeah,
Or like
suggestions.
they'll probably be like, they'll tell you what ingredients you need to use and make a dish out of it.
Almost like MasterChef. It's like
Basically.
almost like MasterChef, but it's like with the people and they're telling the rules. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I also watch YouTube videos of it,
Yeah.
where it's like just me sitting there during lockdown, just need something in the background, and it's just like what I made in a week.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, yes, I like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Ideas.
I'll go, you go.
I haven't thought of one yet, Mr.
Okay,
Donnelly.
I would do, so I love to build nano blocks. So I would build those. So ideally I would have 2 web cameras, one on my hand so you can just see this is what he's building, and one on my face and be like, oh yeah, cool. So you see what I'm building. Because I've got a lot of nano blocks I do want to build, and I'm sort of delaying that till I move into my new house. It's been built. And so I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do it that way. Like that's something I would want to do if I couldn't do video game streaming.
That's interesting. For myself, if I can't do a video game streaming related one, what would I stream? I think I might do something to do with almost like travel, but not so much overseas. I mean, overseas would definitely be nice, but I don't think I could be able to afford. Like, all right, I need to make new content. Therefore, I will fly to Japan. Therefore, I'll fly to whatever. I think even if I was to vlog my experiences in the Melbourne CBD, I think that actually might be, some people might want to watch it because honestly,
there is a lot in Melbourne.
There's a lot in Melbourne CBD, and every single time I go, I do something different. I eat different places, I go to different things, I try to different shops. Yeah.
Imagine like if you started a stream, but it's you just tasting out like every single like bubble tea. Joint.
Yeah.
Because like I was thinking about like how you went to Taiwan recently.
Yes.
And then like you said you were doing all of that.
Yeah. In turn, I was like ranking bubble tea, but I guess coffee places I could do something similar. I mean, I guess I do make coffee, and maybe I could do some sort. I know there's a musician from Taiwan who he streams himself making coffee using different coffee machines. So sometimes he cold press, sometimes the espresso machine, and then afterwards he sits down with his coffee and he plays like a cover of a song. So that's one of the things that he does. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I reckon that'd be pretty cool. Like, I think Melbourne is one of those really awesome places because you can go around and you, as you said earlier, you find out so much. Like, for me, I'm a bit of a law nerd. I teach legal studies, so I love my law. So, like, I'm like, oh, yeah, courts are there. Yeah. Like, the library's got all the old court records. Like, there's some really interesting stuff there. Yeah. Which I love.
The Year 9s, did they get to go to court this year? I remember we went with the Year 9s for city experience to the courts last year. I
remember my first year, the court city experience 2018.
Yeah. And for me, like, that was the first time I've ever been in the courts, and the case that I was listening to was very interesting.
Yeah.
But the best thing about it was there was like a intermission in between because the judge had finished early. So she had finished with this court case a lot earlier than expected. And then so this judge was like, well, now that, court is out of session, there's 2 schools of students here. There's 5 of you from Cranbourne East Secondary. There's another few from another school. She's like, well, why don't you guys get to ask me questions?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it became a legit, so the current Year 10s, some of the girls that I went with into one of the rooms had that opportunity, and it was really good. Like, one of our students asked, like, what's the most difficult court case you've had to deal with? It was like a Q&A session with an actual judge. Like, how often do you get that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And the judge was like, well, anything working with children, that's always really hard. And then she said, but one of the biggest ones was the which street was it? Not Swanston. The business district where there was the person who.
Oh, Burke Street.
Burke Street
Mall. The guy that drove around, Jason Gargasoulis.
Yes, she had to be the judge for that case.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She was the judge for that case, so it was very interesting to hear this from her. And then another student asked, like, oh, so what's actually underground? People, they get driven down there, and then there's actually holding cells down there. People they get sent up. Yeah, it was all very interesting. We had a great day. So I really hope that our listeners for next year's city experience definitely take that opportunity to go to all of them because, the past 2 years, not the Year 9 cohorts haven't been as lucky to go to all of them. So current Year 8s, current Year 7s, go to all of them. Trust me, they're all good.
Yeah, it's the same with our legal studies as well. So in the non-COVID times, so back in 2019, we were able to go to the courts for our excursion. So we would go to Parliament, and you go to Victorian Parliament.
Yep.
We've never been able to go when they're sitting. We've always managed to go when they're on break.
Yeah, on break, yep.
And so you actually get to go in the room where they sit. So the Legislative Assembly, so that's the lower house where Dan Andrews introduces law and all that. But going into those rooms is really cool. Legal studies. We've tried to get into the county court. We got into the county court once, but that's really hard to get into, and it's luck of the draw. But we have got into the magistrates court because I think magistrates court is really interesting because you see so much of the process you don't think about.
Yeah, that's where we went. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for that, Mr. Donnelly. That actually comes to the time now in our video where we will suggest shows for our listeners. So for the both of you, have either you thought of a show yet? Because I've got one ready.
Got something different. You got one ready? That I think I already told you about that. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Young, do you want to go you first?
Okay. So I've been with Halloween recently.
Okay, so it's not mine. Good. Okay. As long as we don't overlap.
That's why I picked something very different.
Mine's an anime. Yours is not an anime.
No.
Anime.
K-drama.
K-drama. How about yours?
Mine's
YouTube. Okay. Yeah. We're all good. Okay.
Okay. So it's been Halloween recently. Also, everyone's watched Squid Game, basically.
Yeah.
So, K-drama inspired. I started and binged and finished 2 seasons of Kingdom.
Ah,
which is a Netflix
zombies.
show. Yep. So it's basically a zombie show, but set in historic Korea.
Yes.
And you can, at the very start, it like even in the opening scene of each episode, it shows you the emperor, who is his patient 0.
Yeah.
So he's the one who has the zombie virus, and you learn how it spread.
Yep.
And then you see all this political like outfall from like ministers wanting the position, the crown prince trying to fight for his own position, whilst there's zombies and there's infrastructure that is literally, you get 10 people to push like wood, like just logs tied together, and the whole wall falls down.
Yeah.
And when you have hordes of zombies, it doesn't really work out.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing I love about zombie movies. Every new zombie movie or series I watch, I like to figure out all those things. Like, number 1, is it a virus or is it a parasite or is it this?
Yeah.
Number 2, what's the constraints? Can they run? Can they climb? Can they walk? Do they... And I
How do they
Reminds
like
me-
see people?
Yeah,
and, like,
I'm
interact?
getting
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
World War Z. Have you read the World War Z books by
I've watched
Max,
the movie, but
Max
I
Alvord?
haven't read it. No,
Max
I've
Alvord.
seen the Brad Pitt movie, but I haven't read it. But I know it's a lot more complex.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I'm just getting real big vibes. Like, it's
Yeah.
one of my favorite zombie books. Are we allowed to do plugs for books?
Yeah, sure, of course.
If you get a chance, do read World War Z, because that is, I think, one of the really intricate books. It talks about a lot about political stuff as well,
Yes.
under the guise of the zombie apocalypse. And I think really beautiful, and there are a lot of parallels between now and that zombie apocalypse with COVID.
Yeah. Because Mr. Young, there's 2 seasons of Kingdom, but there's also
A movie. And
Yes,
I watched
talk
that
about it.
too.
You want to talk about
Yes.
like what the
So-
movie is about?
In the end of season 2, you witness a new character that is going into season 3.
Yep.
Then what the movie is a backstory to that character, and you learn how messed up that character is, and that's all I will say.
So they're not wasting any time in season 3 having to go through
The
her
backstory.
origin story because here's a spin-off movie for it.
Nice.
So how smart. So you can just go straight into season 3. For those of you who watch it, you know who she is, you know what she's all about. Let's keep going with the main characters. Yeah.
Of course, it's zombies, so like please check the age rating.
Yes, of course.
It gets quite violent. So
Yes.
age rating.
100%. 100%. Well, let's leave our guest till last. It's been a while since I've watched anime, honestly, but for some reason, my social media platforms that I do use, Instagram, Facebook, I have been flooded non-stop with this image of this girl. And I'm like, what is this anime that people keep talking about? It's like on Side Asian Traits as well. People talk about it. It's on Netflix. It's from a manga that's been around for a while, but Netflix is only up to episode 2. Now, I've seen episode 1. And it's called Komi Can't Communicate. So the general basis of the story from episode 1 that I've watched so far is that you have the most prettiest girl in the entire high school, and everyone's all falling in love with her and so on. But what a lot of people actually don't know, other than the main character guy, is that she's selectively mute. So she's selectively mute because of all the attention that is on her, and she's like, oh, everyone must hate me because everyone's all staring at me. And so she doesn't want to talk, she can't talk at all. And then so she has to find ways to communicate with the main character guy who's trying to get her to open up from her shell, right? So, you know, they start writing, to communicate instead of using verbal instead. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. So I was like, yep, Komi can't communicate. It was pretty funny, the first episode.
Episode 3 is out.
Is it?
Or like, I've seen it's out. I don't know if it's out on Netflix.
Okay, cool. Because the last time when I watched episode 1, it was 2 days ago. So it could potentially be out. It
Yeah.
could potentially be out because Wednesday. Yeah, Netflix. Some Netflix shows comes out Wednesday. For the first time ever since the very very first podcast episode, a YouTube channel.
Yeah. So I was going to pick like The Witcher, but you have to check age ratings and all that. And I think everyone's watched The Witcher, and it ties
Potentially, yeah.
really well into the video games. Do play the Witcher video games if you get the
Read the
chance.
books as well.
Yeah, read the books. Like there's so much
Season
more there.
2's coming out.
I
Yep.
know, really pumped for that.
Yep.
But I'm going to pick. I mean, I could pick my own Twitch channel, but I think that might be a bit
That's fine. That's
self-referential.
fine. You can just give us the link afterwards.
Yeah,
We'll put it there. But you can.
That might be a bit self-referential, but
Oh, good.
I'm gonna pick one of my favorite YouTube channels, P-Chal Daily. So
Okay.
they do hardcore nuzlocks of ROM hacks, so harder versions of games. So for example, there's one called Renegade Platinum, where they get the base Platinum game and they edit it to make it harder. And so what he does is he plays those, and just watching him, you can see, so that's what he does. And it's like almost a coaching manual of here's how you could improve. So it's like very much a coaching thing, and he's very honest, and he says, all right, so when he makes a mistake, he goes, right, this is where I could improve. And I think it aligns up with my personal values of I'm doing this to get better incrementally. And why it also lines up with why I play video games of I want to improve a little bit. I want to improve a little bit. I want to improve a little bit. And that's a big thing about doing Nuzlocke.
Yeah, I mean, even there's a lot of research, and for teachers and even students you might hear, but a lot of research around like links between teaching and video games, you know? And because, sometimes we find that students, when we try to teach you, viewers, all of you something new, sometimes you might find that, hey, this is really hard, I give up. But then there's people who download games, and I remember when I was reading this article, Flappy Bird had just come out.
Yeah.
And then so the person who was the researcher was saying, how is it possible that kids in the classroom, they might want to try something once or twice, and then that's it, they want to give up. Yet Flappy Bird is literally the same thing again and again. The background doesn't change, the bird doesn't change, but people spend hours on it just trying to improve. I made it to number 5. I went too high. I pressed too much. I want to use that feedback to, all right, next time, don't spam so much. Okay, when I go to number 5, slow it down a bit. And, it's that process of
incremental improvement. It's the same in Pokemon. It's the same in anything you do at school. Like, for me in Pokemon, I'm up to my 3rd attempt in Platinum. The first time, I didn't use items. Like, I should have held items. I didn't. I learned that mistake. The second time, I rushed, made a mistake. So this is my 3rd run. I'm up to the Elite 4. I got up to there last night.
Nice.
And I'm like, all right, cool. I've learnt from my mistakes. I've got incrementally better. And I think that's a big thing that you can take anywhere, because persistence is something anyone looks for.
And it's addictive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's because, like, you say, I've gotten better, and you feel good about yourself.
It's like every time I play Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, Mr. Young loves Dark Souls.
I'm not streaming Dark Souls.
I thought you like pain. Same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's just as painful.
I can see improvement when I do it.
Dark Souls, you're just dead. You're dead. And when you drink, you see you're dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that's pretty timely, actually, because by the time this episode comes out, it'll be week 6. And so year 9s, you would have done your persistence lesson this week, actually, doing it out of escape room, learning about persistence and applying it. So, yeah, really looking forward to it.
So, yeah. I think, I'm happy to do a closing thought if you want.
Yeah, do a closing thought and then we'll wrap it up.
My biggest thing, if I don't teach you, that's cool. If you don't pick my subjects, that's cool, because, like, obviously accounting, legal, business, not going to be for everyone. I respect that. Well, VCAL, I do VCAL as well. Not going to be for everyone. That's cool. But I encourage you, no matter what you do, look for a way to improve, whatever it is. Like, even that 1% improvement, if you do 1% every day, you're going to notice a difference, whether it's gym, whether it's sport, whether it's science, whatever. Like, for me, it's video games, it's streaming. I pick one thing, I try and do it better.
Yes.
Video games, I try and play a better way, or I try and make a better decision. And that's something that's helped me in my life. It's kept me more organized. It's made me accountable, not only to, like, the game, but also to myself. And I think that's a big thing to take forward, not only in study, but outside of study.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Donnelly, and even thank you for your time today.
It's my pleasure.
Staying behind on a Wednesday. Finally got to have you once the year 12s are finally gone from homework club. I can finally get you in now. But if you do see Mr. Donnelly around the yard, I highly suggest you do have a great chat with him, especially those who are interested in streaming. I know a lot of you viewers are interested in that type of thing. So, have a chat with him. Talk. He can give you more details about, what's been the challenge, what are some recommendations. But, until then, viewers, definitely give us suggestions on what you might want to see or what topics.
Make sure you like and subscribe.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yep. So for usual, from us, stay happy
and stay healthy.
All right, we'll see you all next week, viewers. Bye.